Hey everybody, how's it going? I apologize if in this video I come off improperly or I'm not good at explaining myself. I'm incredibly pissed right now, and I don't know how else to explain it. So let me just try and start. So 8 or 9 years ago, I did a blog post on my site where I was going over getting a visit from the Department of Consumer Affairs because I did not have the license number. It was either on the receipt of the business card. I believe it was the business card. I got to check. And I remember getting a fine for it that was pretty large at the time for me. And rather than say, hey, I know you probably don't know this because it's 600 pages and you're working 12 hours a day, but you got to have your license number on it. So can you reprint the cards and then I'll show up here again in a month, and if they're there, then we no, I got a fine for it. But, you know, it wasn't the biggest deal. Now, today, someone showed up at the business from the Department of Consumer Affairs, and I now have a summons. This is not a fine, which is, okay, here, just pay your fine, you're done. This is summons. I got to show up and explain myself for something that we did here. So before I explain this here, well, I need to explain the licenses that we have and the way our business works. So we have 3 licenses in the front of the store. We actually have 2 because the Department of Consumer Affairs that managed to send someone over to give me this did not actually send me a new license in spite of the fact that I paid my renewal fee 9 months ago. But that's a topic for a different video. So we have 3 licenses. One is a home electronics consumer appliance service dealer. That means that I can fix your products. The second is an electronic store license. That means that I can sell parts. So let's say you want to buy a CD3215, an ISL 96259, I can sell you a chip. And the third license is a secondhand dealer license. A secondhand dealer license allows me to sell items that are used. The reason I have that license is because from time to time, we will sell used laptops. Now, it's very important to understand one core concept of our business. Many people will ask, why don't I have used laptops available for sale on my site? Or why don't I have a business buying and reselling them? I don't buy used laptops from people who walk in asking, do you buy used stuff? Because every single time I've had someone walk in saying, hey, do you buy used stuff? They do this. Hey, you guys work with phones? Yes. Do you guys buy phones? You guys buy phones? I don't buy things from people who walk in, because when people walk into a store in New York City and say, do you buy phones? 95% of the time, you can be sure that it's stolen. Their body language is a dead giveaway. Their lack of the password for the device, their lack of understanding of how the device works. When they put it on the desk and I say, can you show me the condition of it? It's always obvious that it's stolen. So my business model is not to purchase items from customers and then resell them, because the people that walk in asking for this are always as sketchy as humanly possible. What we do here is we sell computers that people have left here for long periods of time. So in an ideal world, what would happen is people would drop a computer off at my business. I would give them an estimate. We would then fix it if they approve the estimate, and then we would give it back to them fixed. They would pay once they see it's fixed. All done. What actually happens goes something like this. They bring the machine in, we give them an estimate, they say yes to the estimate, we fix it, we call them, voicemail, we text them, they never hear from them, we email them, nobody picks up, nobody answers, nobody responds, and then 3 or 6 or 9 months later, after we've been texting and emailing and calling and texting and emailing and calling, and no one picks up, I put the machine in my junk pile. And then once we have a slow period in business, maybe, right by the Christmas time or the holiday, then when there's nothing for the techs to work on, they will go through the recycled junk pile and go through that pile and try to put together a computer that works. And then we sell it. This is why we only have maybe somewhere between 0 and 2 computers available for sale at any given time. We also don't sell these machines online because we have such a limited quantity of them. It doesn't even make sense for us to waste the time to put them online and take all the pictures and all the specs, because it's going to be gone at some point anyway, since there's so many customers that walk in and so few machines available for sale. As a result of not purchasing computers from my customers, I don't have any records of machines that I purchase from the walk-in customers, because I don't have a policy of purchasing computers from walk-in customers. Now, let's just read what this summons here is for. New York City Administrative Code 20-273. The business does not maintain electronic records on leads online, as required by Title 38 RCNY 21-07B. At time of inspection, there were 2 used laptops displayed for sale. One was a 2016 13-inch MacBook Pro, 2.9 GHz, i5 CPU, 8 GB RAM for $950, 250 GB gigabyte SSD, 2017 A1708 13-inch MacBook Pro, 2.5 gigahertz, i5, 16 gigabyte, 256 gigabyte SSD for $850. The electronics items were displayed at a point of sale inside the glass showcase with sign to fix it, indicating specs and prices. Records are not available for inspection. I asked the manager, Steve, if they maintain leads online regarding the entity's purchase and sales of secondhand electronics. He said they don't maintain leads online. This is a misrepresentation of what Steve actually said. What Steve said is quite simple. We do not buy machines from customers when they walk in saying, do you sell computers? We don't buy machines from New York customers. Now, what Leads Online it's a system where if you purchase computers from customers in New York City, you need to, I forget exactly how it works. You have to have their ID, you have to have them fill out a form, and then you put all this information into Leads Online so that when people file stolen device reports, they can try and figure out, did this stolen device make its way to a pawn shop or to a computer, sale and, buy and selling shop or something like that. And they can try and track it down, which I think is a great idea because, as I said in the beginning of this video, most of the computers that people come in here trying to sell me, the reason I don't buy them is because they're very, very obviously stolen. Also, I'm just not, maybe it's just a socially awkward thing. I'm just not good at the whole bargaining back and forth that, come on, this is worth more than that. No, it's not. Come on. I make money off of fixing things. I don't make money off of the whole buying and selling shit. And it's fairly obvious if you walk into my store that that's the case because we have no retail whatsoever in the front of our store. It's a seat and then a desk for where Kevin can talk to you, and that's about it. So this says we don't have Leads Online records, and this is a violation that I have no records. I have no records because I don't buy from the customer. The reason that I have a secondhand dealer's license is not so that I could purchase devices from customers and act as a pawn shop. It's so that I can go to that pile of recycled crap, refurbish it, and then sell it in the front of the store. The reason that there's no Leads Online that's filled out is because I did not purchase a device from my customer. They forfeited their right to it when they left it here for 1 or 2 or 3, or in some cases 5 to 7 years without ever getting back to me. However, this is here listed as a violation. And when we go down to the bottom of the page, it says, except for unlicensed activities, maximum penalties for the violations in the summons may include a fine of as much as $15,000 for each violation. $15,000 for each violation. And this is not even a fine, because a fine was this little half-a-page thing that I got a few years ago. This is a summons. So I have to show up on May 4th and This is 4 pages. This is literally 4 pages worth of stuff here that I will have to deal with the city on. Now, this is a particularly interesting time for this to be done. I think this is an interesting time for this to be done. As I've shown in some of my other videos, you have a record number of businesses fleeing the city. If I were to ride my bike down Broadway, all you see is retail for lease, retail for lease, retail for lease, closing, retail for lease, empty spaces. And this is a time of great economic strife for most small businesses. You have lots of small businesses that haven't moved, but that are just going bankrupt. You have all over the place, lots of businesses that were barely hanging on prior to the pandemic because, as I've gone over in some of my real estate videos, it is incredibly expensive to have a space here. You could be paying easily $20,000 or $30,000 for a place the size of a closet. You have a lot of economic strife now that a lot of the people who would have been the customers of those businesses have left, or they're only able to operate at limited capacity. This is a point in time where the city of New York needs to be selling small business owners on why they shouldn't hightail it out of here to Nashville or to Texas or to Florida, somewhere where their rent will be 20% what it is here, somewhere where they will be taxed less, treated better, able to open. And instead of attempting to sell small business owners on why they should remain in this city, they are going around giving people like me summonses for potential fines of $15,000. Now, again, I would understand it to some extent if we were a business that were known to be scamming people, that were getting complaints left and right. There's some places I could look up and remember where, 2 stars, you read the reviews, and they're all universally horrible. But when you look up MacBook repair in this zip code, one of the things that you'll find about our business is that when you look at the combination of the number of reviews and ratings, we're one of the best rated businesses in this city for what we do. 1,239 reviews, 4.9 stars. The businesses that are higher rated than us at 5 stars typically have less than 50 reviews between them. This is a business that is rated fairly well for my used or second-hand license. I don't have any complaints with the DCA for the entire duration that I have had this license. Again, if we were screwing over our customers, if our reviews were terrible, if people were submitting complaints saying, I bought a machine from them and the serial number came up as stolen or something like that, by all means, this would make sense. If I'm doing something wrong, if I'm screwing over my customers, come here and find me. That's not what's going on. They're coming in, they're looking for things that they can complain about, they're finding little violations based on technicalities because I am not providing records for the devices that I never purchased, and then saying that I could be fined up to $15,000 and I need to appear at a summons in order to explain myself. That doesn't make sense. And this is not what is going to encourage people to stay here as everybody else is leaving the city when prices are at real estate sky highs and customer availability in the area as at an all-time low. We have 15 employees here. We have a payroll of something like $18,000 a week. That's a lot of tax revenue for the city. That's a lot of money that we bring the city. And I'm not saying that should allow us to break the rules, but what I'm saying is that when you're talking about a citation or a fee or a fine or a summons for $15,000, because we don't have records of devices we never purchased because that's not our business model and not what we do. Yeah, maybe I'm just tooting my own horn here, but this is not what the city should be doing when you have record outflows of people deciding we want to go to somewhere else. And maybe this is the kind of kick in the ass that I need to realize that I need to hightail it the fuck out of here. Because as I've said, I have a business here. I have loyal employees, some of whom have been here for 7, 8 years, who have family in the area, who are good at specialized jobs, component-level board repair, component-level data recovery on phones that have been in the ocean, hard drive data recovery on drives that have been dropped that got sent that got sent to companies that charged $10,000 that said we can't help you, or he was able to fix it. These are employees that are very loyal, that have really good skill sets that would take years upon years to retrain if I were to move somewhere else. And it's difficult to consider moving in that standpoint, but it really does start to put into the minds of business owners like myself, what do I have to do to get that started? What would I have to offer my staff in order for them to be okay with leaving to go someplace that doesn't suck? Because this is a joke. This is a joke. If you look at the city's tax revenue over the past year, if you look at how much it's fallen, if you look at how vacant so many of the stores in this city are, this city needs businesses to stay here. And for those businesses to stay here, it's going to take reasons. It's going to take a sales pitch of some sort. New York City in many ways was kind of like that head of the football team that was, handsome and liked by everybody, that thinks because of that he can get away with treating his girl like shit, or like, that beautiful hot girl that thought because I'm so good looking I get to treat you like shit. And in many ways New York has been like that. Whether it's the 2.2% property tax on Long Island, or whether it's $5,000 to $10,000 studios in Brooklyn and Queens and New York nowadays, and when you're looking for apartments, I can't believe they actually can cost that much, but they do. When you look at the cost of housing, when you look at how bad the train system is, when you look at all of this, the one thing that New York had going for it is that all of the money was here. All of the opportunity was here. And now that that's going away, New York can't get away with doing this stuff anymore. It's not worth it. It's over 65% of my business is now mail-in. That figure used to be between 10 and 30%, which means that if this shows up and I show up for that hearing and I get a $15,000 fine for not keeping records of sales that don't exist because I don't buy machines from customers, I'm telling you, I'm hightailing it the fuck out of here. I have a car arriving on Saturday, and once I get it, I'm going to be doing my little tour around the U.S. for myself, just to figure, take a tour of the places, figure out what places may be good places to live the next half of my life, what places would be poor places to live the next half of my life, what places are good to do business, what places aren't, what places have good people, what places don't, and if I find a place that doesn't suck, That's the point at which we have a conversation with everybody here. What would you say to having the same salary that you do now, but living someplace where when you go to the grocery store, everything's 30% cheaper, where your apartment is 40% cheaper, where your car insurance is 65% cheaper, but you get the same salary you do now? What would it take? Moving expenses? First month's rent? Tell me. Those are conversations that I'm soon to be having, because this is just not acceptable. And I'll be honest, it wasn't even this that got it started. It's the fact that the businesses surrounding the city that used to be my customers are now closed. So if it's going to be $12,000 to $14,000 to rent this store, but FIT is right next door and they're open, and all of these offices nearby where all these people have Macs and other devices are open, and NYU is, dorms are full. Even back then, it was like, what the hell are you doing here? And I could show you the numbers on paper and say this makes sense. But now it doesn't make any sense. The numbers don't make sense as much to be here as it did before. It's just, I'm a responsible adult. I have a business. I have employees. I have, thousands of customer devices here. I can't simply just get up and leave because I have responsibilities. But when this stuff starts showing up, a 4-page citation, a 4-page summons from a department that can't even send me my license after I spend $350 on it, to the point where I need to put a receipt for my license in the license frame. Why am I still here? Why? And I know what I'm going to see in my comments. You did it to yourself by having a business in New York. You're right. You're right. Why am I stupid enough to run a business here? I don't know. But we'll see. I will update you all with how this goes. And if you're thinking of starting a business in New York City, you're absolutely out of your mind, because at the point at which so many businesses are moving out, so much of the tax base that this city needs is leaving. The best thing that they can think to do is this. Because I didn't get a call from anybody saying, hey, man, how's your business going? I know that you're only working at like 50% or 25% capacity. Is everything okay? Or, hey, I know since Andrew Cuomo's pause order, you're probably really screwed up right now. You need any help paying your rent? You need any help with your taxes? You need any or, hey, man, I know you... None of that. You know what? I didn't get any of that. No support. No, are you doing okay? No, is there anything we can do to help? This is what the city of New York thinks of you. This is what the city of New York thinks of small business owners. We're piñatas. We're just there to be beaten over and over again, have the money fall out, and use it to pay for all of the city's services and programs and Ponzi scheme pension funds. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating. So that's about it for today. That's it. I'll see you all in the next video. I apologize for this being a rambling video where I have repeated myself, but I don't know. I'm done.